Bronte, good morning.
Good morning, Rob, and that's very exciting news for you.
Yeah, it is good. I'm quite excited about it. I'm really grateful for the station to give us the opportunity, but also very sad to lose Mitchell, who is just a really, really good presenter of community radio, and he's done it for a long time. But he's going off to bigger things, and we wish him very, very well, but the door has opened. Bronte, we talk about the circumstances around your community. If we were having this conversation 10 years ago, it would have been a hell of a lot different. We've made some really good advances. I think the majority of people are now doing what they should always do, and that be open and accepting. But sadly, there are still cases that aren't that good. We always try and have a good and bad news story. Let's start with the bad and finish with the good. But some communities still haven't quite embraced, understood, or some people are still feeling very uncomfortable in certain environments for how they're being perceived.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm a married celebrant, and I see all sorts of couples and all sorts of circumstances. And I was approached recently by two gay women from a little town in another state, and there's a piece of paperwork that you've got to sign at least a month before you get married. And I said to them that they could get that witnessed in their town by, the usual JP or another celebrant or a police officer or a GP, a general practitioner. And they were quite concerned about that because they feared that, gossip would happen and that they might get harassed or ridiculed or just get the sideways glances in their town. They've been in their town for a long time. They've contributed financially to that town, employment-wise, and they just felt sufficiently uncomfortable in getting it signed there to drive 3 hours to Melbourne so that I could just be their witness. And then a month after that, they came back to Melbourne, and I married them in a very quiet and private ceremony with the photographer being one of the witnesses, for example. And it's just sad that their perception, and to them their perception is reality, was that it was a bit unsafe for them to be able to just get someone local to do that. And that's not the only story of that sort. So there are people from countries without marriage equality who fly to Melbourne to get married. And it's risky for them, for example, to come out in their country. And so even, when I say to some of those people, head to your local embassy, Australian embassy, and I recently had a couple who said that they employ locals, and of course they do, and they couldn't risk being outed by that local officer who is employed by the Australian government in their country. And so what's going to happen is they'll fly to Melbourne, and I'll meet them at the airport, and we'll sign that same piece of paperwork that the two women from the country town signed. They'll possibly spend a day or two in Melbourne, and they'll go home, and then sometime a month or so after, they'll fly back to Melbourne, and I'll marry them. And that's just how people's circumstances are, some people's circumstances.